Toronto Blue Jays have pulled off an unbelievable heist. As in what was one of the craziest performances of the year in last night's game, a bigger storyline emerged surrounding one particular player and how the Jays were able to pull off what is looking like to be an absolutely legendary heist. We're going to break down exactly who that is and discuss what it means going forward as it has big implications for the Jays. We also have multiple Jays updates, including a big injury update surrounding Dalton Varsho, and also one player down in the minors that has a huge impact going forward and that could change everything for the Jays as it pertains to their prospect system. And he made his first start of the year. So stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. But before we get into it, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. Your guys' support has been absolutely unbelievable. If you want to help us towards our big goal of 20,000 subscribers, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And thank you guys again for your continued support. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a ton to go over today. Obviously, we're talking about a bunch of different things. Now, I didn't have a post-game video yesterday, but the Jays are coming off of a huge 6-1 win against the Red Sox. But someone stole the show yesterday, and it's time we talk about Easton Lucas. And there's a ton of different things to go over here, and I just want to talk about Easton Lucas in general because, man, oh man, has this guy been an absolute, delight. He's been a complete surprise for many Jays fans, and you can see this here. It's from John Schneider. You hope it's one of those feel-good stories, right? He's done a really good job of taking advantage of every resource available and understanding how his stuff works and really how good he can be. And let's dive into how good he was in last night's game. And boy, oh boy, was he fantastic. 5 innings, 3 hits, 8 Ks. Yes, Easton Lucas, a man the Toronto Blue Jays got from the waiver wire from the Tigers and then optioned to AAA. Easton Lucas is a guy who not only, he's a guy, but he's not only a guy who started the season in AAA for the Jays. He started 2 games for the Jays thus far and has been absolutely lights out. And I said he is a guy. He is that guy for the Toronto Blue Jays. And obviously we hear a lot of, we hear a bunch of different people saying, okay, is he going to be able to be a guy in the major league levels as it pertains to, being a good enough starter at the major league level to, a lot of these AAA guys, they're fringe guys. Easton Lucas, we may have found ourselves the next Bowden Francis 2.0, and this is very, very interesting. Now, there's a bunch of things to go over. Let's start with how good he has been. Now, obviously, the fact that the Jays were able to pull this off, it's an absolute heist, and even if, no matter what happens the rest of the year, this can be considered a heist for the Jays. They got 2 phenomenal starts, including one against Garrett Crochet in a game that I don't think many Jays fans, not necessarily didn't think they could win, because the Jays can win any game, but a game that the Jays definitely weren't favored in against a very dominant left-handed pitcher in Crochet. They come out and they absolutely dominate the Red Sox, and it's thanks to Easton Lucas. You can see this here. Everyone is speaking out about it. That's 2 massive starts from Easton Lucas. They're just going to run back Bowden 24, but lefty. Shout out to Blake Murphy for that. It makes total sense. Think about last year, Bowden Francis, not many people thought, not many fans thought that he was going to be as good as he was. And guess what? It is carried into this season. You even have Bichette. Everybody's talking about it. Bichette and Easton Lucas' performance with the Jays. He's pitching no fear. We need him. He's a big part of our team right now. For him to pitch like that against a lineup like that, it's cool for all of us to see. And again, I didn't have a video last night on the game. I wasn't able to do a video last night on the game. But regardless of that, I was able to watch most of it. Easton Lucas was absolutely dominant, and to have your star players like Bichette come up and really be supportive of these guys is not only, impressive from a leadership standpoint, but it goes to show how surprising it truly is, because it's very rare that you can call up a guy from AAA that was on the waiver wire. He was DFA'd by the Detroit Tigers, an AL, not rival necessarily, but it could be an AL rival in the future in the playoffs. To come out, they DFA'd him. The Jays say, okay, let's take a shot on this guy. He's a lefty. Max Scherzer, of course, goes down with the injury. That's exactly who he's replacing. He comes out and he's been absolutely dominant. And it's not just, the counting stats, right? It's not just the counting stats. You see from Keegan Matson, every once in a while, a player comes along and reminds you that every single move matters. Talking about the present supplies in Easton Lucas. You look at pleasant surprise, in Easton Lucas. You look at some of the advanced analytics. His fastball played, and it played really, really well. He was able to use his fastball. And even in watching the game yesterday, his, average velo of 94.5. He, of course, his max velo of 94.5. His average velo is, sits in the mid 92s. But regardless of all these advanced analytics, he was attacking the hitters. He was getting first pitch strikes, and he was able to just, abuse the Boston Red Sox lineup in a very cold night, and you're going up against Garrett Crochet. You know that you're going to have to pitch a fantastic game if you want your team to have a chance. The Jays luckily put up 6 runs, fantastic at-bats from George Springer, fantastic at-bats from Bichette. But regardless of that, having Easton Lucas go out there, it makes it a bit of a question mark now going forward surrounding Max Scherzer. Like, obviously, assuming Max Scherzer gets healthy in the somewhat near future, they could run a 6-man rotation. They could do a bunch of different things. But the way Easton Lucas is pitching, he's earned himself multiple more, games for him to start. And even if he has, a rough start here and there, his stuff plays. He's been playing fantastic. And you look at it here, obviously scheduled an update, for yesterday. They've won 2 games now in the series. Of course, the April 8th game, wasn't updated on the website, but they've won 2 games now in a row against the Boston Red Sox following getting swept by the Mets. It is an absolutely masterclass performance by the Blue Jays. Most importantly, it's a masterclass performance from the man himself. And John Schneider dove into some more comments here. He said, "You hope it's one of those feel-good stories. He's done a really good job of taking advantage of every resource available and understanding at this point in his career how his stuff works and how good he can really be. I've said it before. We've liked him since the first time we saw him. He's got a little bit of momentum and he's running with it. It happens at different times for different people. He's in a really good spot right now. Two strong starts, no guarantee of continued performance, of course. And as Schneider pointed out before the game, the flow of information once a player is in the majors is like football. As soon as you put your stuff on tape, people are going to react to it. And that's the biggest thing now is how he will react to it. Both how he will react to the reacting of the hitters. We saw this with, kind of vice versa with Davis Schneider, for example. Just throw it out there. Once you get to the major leagues, you can start off really hot. And that's something Easton Lucas has done. It's something Davis Schneider did. How they respond, because we know the hitters are now going to respond to Easton Lucas's pitches. Once they get info, it flows way faster down the minor league. Sorry. For Davis Schneider, I mean, he's still struggled on the high fastball and those different things. So seeing how Easton Lucas is going to develop is going to be very interesting. And if he can just give you some more quality starts, it doesn't have to be dominant starts like this, but giving only 5-6 innings, 3 runs, like that's perfectly fine for your 5th starter at this point. And an absolute heist by Ross Atkins. You have to give him credit where it's due, and claiming this guy off the Tigers waiver wire, fantastic move by him. But let's dive into a couple of new injury updates here. So you can see this here. Alejandro Kirk is a little beat up, but he's fine. Just a normal off day. This is, of course, following him not playing yesterday against Garrett Crochet, fouling a ball off his leg below the kneecap in between the knee and the shin guard. It was a good one, and they had planned to play Tyler Hyman. So those of you concerned about Alejandro Kirk, Kirky is good to go. A couple other things now as well. You look at the schedule ahead. Again, they play 2 more games in Boston and then another game against the Orioles and Camden Yards before you go back home against the Braves for the much anticipated Vladimir Guerrero Jr., home debut since his extension. So that's going to be exciting. And a quick update for you all on Dalton Varsho as well here. It's he's been progressing really well at the same distance, 150, 165 feet, hoping to throw bases later this week. He threw another bullpen while Ryan Burr is aiming for later this week. So there's going to be some reinforcements, folks, from the bullpen. Both Eric Swanson and Ryan Burr, 2 fairly solid relievers that the Jays are going to rely on. And Dalton Varsho inching closer and closer. So things are picking up. The Jays, they are first in the American League East, despite the top 3 guys barely hitting home runs. And a weird start to the season where they got swept by the Mets. They, split 2 with the Orioles. So it's going to be interesting. Also, quick update on Trey Savage. I promise you guys an update on Trey Savage. He went 3 2/3. He had 2 runs, 6 walks, 4 Ks. If you actually watch the game, especially in the first inning there, his control was a little bit off. He gave up 6 walks, but he responded very, very well. And that response turned into what was an overall solid outing. No earned runs. And for his professional debut, this is a guy to keep an eye on, especially, again, drafted from college last year in the Jays draft. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens from there. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a ton of updates coming for you all. We're going to keep you up to date with all the latest Jays news as we always do. There will be a game following, or a post-game video following tonight's game. So hopefully the Jays can take care of business and work towards sweeping the Red Sox. Thank you guys for watching.